Patience Pierce and Zoe Rogers. Join me up here. These are some future educators, you guys. They deserve applause just for that. Okay, you guys were nominated by Miss Schlehuber, and just for being amazing seniors, volunteers for the Transition Academy. You guys go above and beyond, and she said in all caps, you're amazing. So I can read what she said. She said, Patience and Zoe are seniors at CPHS who are in the teaching and learning career pathway with aspirations to teach someday. They were recommended last spring by Miss Lisa Wolf to be student interns at the Sandite Transition Academy. After a meeting with each of them, I was thrilled to offer them the chance to work at the Transition Academy. They have gone above and beyond my initial expectations. They are both brilliant communicators, willing to do whatever it takes to assist our young adults in being successful. They keep them motivated, engaged, and encouraged at all times. They both possess natural skills that will allow them to become amazing educators someday. They are both such a huge asset to our program. Congratulations. Zoe.
Thank you.
And Patience.
Thank you.
Carrie, would you like to add anything?
Well, sure. So let me just start with when I first met with them, Ms. Wolf had given me their names, and so I met with them at the high school, and they probably heard me say 15 times, I am literally just making this up as I go. I have no idea what I'm going to ask you guys to do, and they just jumped in with both feet. And so they're fabulous. And just to give you guys a little frame of reference right now, Zoe spends the morning at Transition Academy where we have 3, about to have 4 students there, and she works with them one-on-one and helps them every Thursday. They do a cooking activity. They just did a big Halloween, bash for our whole building. And then Patience is there in the afternoon, and we actually have one student in the afternoon who is there doing job placement. And just this last week, Patience and our one student in the afternoon are actually going to Pratt Elementary, and they're working in a kindergarten classroom.
Oh,
So she's
that's so cool.
assisting our special ed student who is working as a teacher assistant. So also shout out to Jay Roder since he's sitting here, because he really let us have that opportunity. And Patience, she just told me today, she said, Miss Terry didn't come in today, it was just me and Chris, and she did so much better. And so it's just really, really awesome. They're both so great. We're really fortunate. They're setting the bar very high for what our student interns are going to have to be able to do in the future. So very proud of them.
Good for
Good
you guys.
job. Good job, ladies.
If we're ready for the next, is this on?
It's not. I think I put
Did I
it.
turn it off? That?
Yep.
Okay. Well, sorry about that. I want to ask Mr. Noggle to join me at the front of the room. But I want to take it. I want to take it one step further. I want the entire board to come and join us at the front. We have a wonderful board. And our board is led by Mr. Noggle right now, and Bo does a great job. Bo, I remember 13 years ago when Bo joined this board, and we thought, what a great opportunity, because he had young kids in the school district at that time. And those kids made it up through the district and stuff like that, and Bo has always been a champion for the kids at Sand Spring Schools. And he remains a champion, not just for the kids, but for this board. And I'm going to read what Miss Durkee wrote. We're giving Bo the Pace Setter Award. I'm going to read it, and then Miss Durkee can share some more. Mr. Noggle currently serves as our board president. He has served on the board now for a full 12 years. That's a long time, dude. He started his 13th year in March of 2023. He is tenaciously aware of the importance of providing a quality education to the students of Sand Springs and is adamant about opportunities that are unique and expansive, which can reach all students. Mr. Noggle is direct and clear about our mission, and he keeps us all on point. You ought to sit next to him at the board meeting, and you can see that he keeps us all on point. Recently, because of Mr. Noggle's generosity, the district was able to launch our broadcasting program at Charles Page High School with state-of-the-art equipment, which prepares our students to be ready to enter the field or program upon graduation from high school. Also, Mr. Noggle's generosity, his willingness to share his resources allowed SSPS to start our first ever esports competitive program. Again, this provided a unique opportunity for students to engage in an extracurricular activity. His continued support of our wrestling program, our FFA program, is phenomenal. He has donated funds, but is also instrumental in the start of our winning Skeet and Clay Sports Club, which has led to scholarship opportunities for our students. He donates his time and energy to this organization, even sharing his expertise with our students. Sand Springs Public Schools is a better place today because of his dedication to our kids. Bo, thank you for what you do. Very much so. Very much so. Let Ms. Durkee say some things.
The first thing you all need to know is he hates this, because the last thing he wants is public recognition for any of the things that he does. But when I say he stands behind the scenes and keeps us on point, it's the honest to goodness truth. And he really means it when he says our students should come first and should have every opportunity in the world to do the things that they want to do. And so the things that he has been responsible for helping us provide have provided unique opportunities for subsets of students that might not otherwise have been involved in any kind of thing extracurricular. And he hides in the background to do it. And so he's hating life right now. It took me a minute I didn't tell him, by the way. Somebody said, did you tell Bo? And I said, he's got the agenda. He could read that himself. But he really wants zero recognition, which is what makes it incredibly special. So thank you, Mr. Noggle, for everything you do for our students.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I do want to say just a couple of things, especially thank you to all the teachers and administrators and support staff and custodial staff and bus drivers. And everybody who makes this district click it's not just us, the board, it's not just the superintendent, it's everybody who is a part of this organization and this school district. And in fact, it's just the whole town. Great place to live, great place to raise your kids, and a great place for them to get an education. And I couldn't be more proud to have, my three sons go through here, two in the military and one at Connors. And it's just a great place. And I appreciate all you guys that are out here and all the people that are in the town. I really appreciate it, and thank you, and go Pokes. All right, let's move on to number 6, please.
I'm going to turn my mic on and stay away from it. Actually, it's loud. I just have a couple of things I want to say before we ask Mr. Beard to come to the podium and present a little bit on student achievement and really highlight what I think is important in the work that we do with our kids. I reported out to you all about the A through F report card, and you know what kind of stock I put into that mechanism. It's coming out soon, is what we hear. Going to be out in a couple weeks, probably. We'll see. It's based on testing that happened in March of last year, which really doesn't give us a whole lot of usable information in regard to providing interventions for our students. Yet, we have a person that's standing in the podium in front of you that makes sure that we as a team are working really hard to really define what kids need and provide services to aid in their learning. And then we have a whole bunch of teachers that follow through and do just that. So that was the first thing. And then secondly, just have to make a comment, our jazz band, sometimes we forget, of course, we're about academics, but we're also about the ancillary opportunities for our kids, which is what I think Mr. Noggle encompasses and embodies, and that importance to keep kids connected to something that's real and motivating is super important. And just our jazz band was able to perform for the Oaks D Conference. We had a whole team of people that were there this last week, and as usual, they did a phenomenal job. So it's those kinds of things that are meaningful experiences for our kids. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Beard.
So I was asked by Ms. Durkee to go ahead and, we normally don't do this at this time of the year, but just talk about our benchmark scores for the fall. Just to remind you, we test in math and reading in the fall, and then again in the winter in January, and then again in the spring at the end of the year to see if kids are making progress, see if they're making gains in those areas. One thing that I will tell you, some of the things that have changed this year and last year. Last year for grades K through 5, we switched to a program called NWEA Map Growth that we use for testing in math and reading in the elementary. And this year we switched from ExactPath to IXL as our diagnostic benchmark tool for secondary for grades 6 through 12. Anytime you make a change like that, one of the things that you're going to see is there's going to be a little bit of a difference in the reporting because of the standardization of those diagnostic measures. But what we're going to look at first, and by the way, if you're used to me doing this presentation, it's usually like 40 slides long. There are 4 slides this time, so you're welcome, Bo. The first thing that we're going to be looking at is the elementary language arts, and when you look at this, you're going to see the blue band is where our kids were in the fall of 2022, a year ago. The red band is where they are now, that same grade level now as a comparison, apples to apples, but different grades. And then the yellow that you see is the benchmark level that they should be meeting, which honestly, for now, we were very happily surprised to see that across the grade levels, we are either at or within a few points of being where we should be already for grade level. That doesn't mean all kids, that is an average number across the board. But you have to remember that as kids come back from the summertime, unless they've been in some kind of summer programming, some of them slide a little bit and they forget a little bit over the summer, and we have to kind of bring them back up to level. But this is where we are for language arts. And then for math, the blue band, again, fall 2022, those students as they performed on this same assessment. And then the green, fall 2023 now, as our kids performed in that same assessment. And then the yellow is the benchmark level that they should be meeting at this point in the year. Any questions on the elementary, the math and the reading? Okay. And then we use map growth for elementary, and like I said, we use IXL for secondary. And then this screen that you're seeing is the secondary ELA fall benchmark. And what you're seeing here is a band. Each band, the dark green is above grade level, and then the red band is far below grade level, and then you have some in between. Again, one of the things that you have to remember here is that we switched from ExactPath, which was a different tool, to IXL as a diagnostic measure. And so we're getting a little bit different report than you're normally used to seeing. The other thing that you have to remember, again, is summer slide that happens. But as you look through here, as kids get older, one thing you have to remember is that some kids in the high school are taking concurrent classes, so they didn't take this assessment with our team. They might have, because they're taking college classes as a concurrent English class, you're going to see some gray bands there where they didn't test. And then for the secondary math, again, same thing as you get into the high school years. If they've already completed their satisfactory requirements for meeting the math requirements for graduation, they may have already fallen off and they're not taking a math assessment. Hello? It came back. All right. It just didn't like what I was saying. Anyway, one of the things that we've changed this year, though, in addition to adding IXL as a diagnostic, is when kids take that diagnostic, or in elementary, when they take the MAP growth assessment, kids that are identified as being below level can also take the IXL diagnostic in elementary. When they take that diagnostic, it provides an arena that kids can go into on a regular basis. And what we suggest is that they go into the arena two times a week for about 10 minutes per session to kind of work on those skills, answer some questions for the diagnostic, keep that diagnostic up to date so that teachers can determine kids that need to be in subgroups so that they can provide intervention as needed. So that's something that new that we've added this year. It's something that we were supposed to be able to do with ExactPath, but it was a little bit difficult to follow and a little bit difficult to use. We found that IXL is a little bit easier tool to use. So, and Ms. Durkee?
I just would add one comment, Mr. Beard. When you think about benchmarks, you are thinking fall, and we would expect lower scores. But then complement that with some of our students who are off those assessments and are in Tulsa Tech or concurrent enrollment that aren't taking it, then you have to think about the group of students. The other thing I would say, when you start thinking about benchmarks specifically at the secondary level, keep in mind that junior performance in our ACT is right at state average. So, you know, when you look at different measures, remember the purpose of the benchmarks. The benchmarks are for us to be diagnostic about what kids need. When you think about overall performance as a junior group, and on average, those kids are hitting the ACT state average over and over again, we're doing something right. But what this allows us to do, and what we think should be more important, is diagnosing where kids have gaps and then how to fill those gaps as we start teaching throughout the year. So these were delivered in September. So this is a little bit old data. We'll come back in January to reassess with the same diagnostic. And so what we're looking for, just like the elementary, we're looking for more green, less red as the time goes on. So you'll see that incremental difference. I thought it was important to present this in complement of knowing soon the A3F would be coming out. So you're understanding there is a piece that we have in place to provide intervention services for our kids. So questions for Sean. He's done a really great job making sure those things are happening.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay, we're at item number 7. Mr. President, I would wonder, since it's a review of district finance strategies, it might be appropriate to insert our bond discussion from item number 13 or 33 now, if you would like to do that.
I don't have a problem if the rest of the board does.
Okay. Moving item number 33, Mr. Robinson
Yeah,
has
we're good.
traveled from Oklahoma City, so I was thinking about.
Yep.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much for the agenda item acceleration. So this action item, there's a resolution in your board packets. What I'll first say is this is the result of about a year's worth of efforts to craft a bond plan that looks to, address many needs in terms of, capital, equipment, it is a comprehensive plan to set up the school district for success for many years to come. And I want to give the superintendent and her team, CFO, a lot of credit in the way that they approached this bond plan to maximize the available project funds over the course of this, financing plan to get the most impact possible. And so the result of those efforts and discussions and hypotheticals is this action item here. This bond election would be on February 13th, 2024. It would be in the total amount of $114,500,000. That's 2 questions. The first question, which is the building and equipment, is for $111,875,000. The second question would be for transportation, which, as you know, has to be split out separately, for $2,625,000. The projects are listed in section 4 of the resolution. They will also be posted on your website and in the newspaper as required by state law. The bonds do have certain other items that we have to list in the resolution. These will be bonds that are issued in series, so over a series of years. And when the bonds are issued, they will not have a maturity longer than 5 years. That allows us to be as efficient as we can with your taxpayers' money to hopefully limit the interest cost as much as we can and get those bonds on and off the levies as efficiently as we can. State law, the maximum rate of interest on the bonds, as stated in the actual language on the ballot, is 10%. That's a state law maximum. It does not mean that that's how the bonds are going to be issued. They are sold in series through a competitive sale each time, and that is a requirement. Currently, bonds such as these are being sold between 4% and 5%. So that's just reciting the state maximum, and that's all that is. And then in terms of the polling places, we would certainly, as you've done in the past, have your normal locations open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. So all the normal, you're not going to shut down any precincts, which you've done. This is how you've handled it in the past. That's the resolution. Again, if you have any questions about the action item, the projects, the timing, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, this is kind of the final piece to all the bond planning, which is to actually call the bond election. And so that is the action item set before you this evening.
Mr. Chairman, item number 33, I'll make a motion that we pass a resolution to call a bond on February 13th of 2024 for the total of $114,500,000. That's a huge bond issue for us.
Yes.
So we're excited about that, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Whitney?
Mr. Robbins, just a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned that the current rate that you're seeing is in a 4 to 5% rate, and with our millage rate of about 30 mills, that means we get about $6 million a year for this, so we can pay for this over like a 16, 17-year timeframe. Please help us understand that.
That's good, quick math. You want to change spots real quick?
I did it last night, trust me.
So the plan is for issuing the bonds over about a 15-and-a-half-year period. We have assumed that the valuation of the school district would grow. We have not used all of that historical growth, though, to be more conservative looking ahead. So we've used a percentage or a portion of the historical valuation growth in our planning. So over time, the assumed valuation would increase. And so targeting that same levy that you've averaged for the last 15 years, which is in this plan, so the size of the bond issue would be a little bit larger as you go out just because of the valuation. But you're generally correct in that this is a multi-year plan, and it's that way to generate sufficient monies to fund these projects as efficiently as we can, being very mindful of the historical levies of the district and trying to be very aware of that while still leveraging the growth that you've seen to maximize the monies that you can generate from this plan to fund these very important projects.
Gotcha. Cool, thank you.
Sure.
Any other discussion? I'll call for a vote, please.
Excuse Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagnon,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Zach, thank you. You couldn't have done a better job. So I appreciate it. You're welcome to stay. We're going to be talking finance if you want to stick around for a minute. You better.
Thank you, Zach. I appreciate all the work you've put into doing this and look forward to the vote.
So here we go.
Here we
Item
go.
number 7, if you are ready for that
I'm ready.
discussion. Here we go. Golly, you guys, welcome to the christening of the new boardroom. That was the first big, we all know it, but it's really fun to see a vision come alive in such a huge way. I was sitting here kind of in preparation for tonight's meeting, very serene, because we've been talking about this for 3 years now and watching it come to fruition. I watched this afternoon as our construction manager, Richard Watts, was in the back, white beard and all, just kind of soaking it all in. And I said, "Are you standing?" He goes, "No, I'm just warming up the seats." And then he exited. But he and, as you know, Genevieve Kovach have done a really great job enduring my persistency with, everything having to be just so to where we are tonight. So I'm super proud that we have a very presentable place for you all to be revered in the way that you should when you commit your time and service to the Sand Springs Public School kids. So thank you for that. I'm pretty proud of it. Golly, we're progressing nice through the work from the windstorm in June. It seems like it's just going on and on forever. Josh, she's gone now. LD Kearns was here at our dialogue meeting this afternoon. The last little piece is the baseball field. Apparently you can't do a fence when it's wet outside. So we've had some weather conditions that haven't allowed to finish that work, but it's still on the radar and still in the works. I believe we were able to secure almost $1 million from OSIG this week as well. So, the payoff happens. I kind of jested at our dialogue meeting about we've been able to remodel a few buildings on the back of OSIG, and I hate that. However, you just kind of have to count your blessings as you're given them. So we'll have some updated facilities when it's all said and done. Item 35 on the board agenda is for your approval tonight. That's our December stipends, our retention stipends for our staff. Again, able to offer returning employees 3% and 1% for all new employees this year. It's the same language it's been for the past several years, just trying to make sure we are recognizing that those folks that always come back are seeing kind of a greater percentage. So I'm really excited that we're able to do that again this year. So, and then lastly, I would just say, not specifically finance, but we have a board election coming up that's also part of this agenda that, of course, is required by law. So I think that culminates the finance policy type piece of the agenda, unless you guys have questions. Okay, moving on. Yeah, communication and community involvement. Again, I keep hounding bond, but you're going to get sick of me saying and talking about that over the next 3 months. So I'm going to apologize in advance, but just it's going to keep coming. So we'll continue to have district dialogue in person each month beginning now, probably as long as we're able to have it in person. It feels good to kind of be back in that piece. You're going to see that our bond is promoted on our district social media pages. I'm going to be out and about, as well as dragging anybody that's willing to come with me to talk about it. So that's the big thing in terms of getting communities involved and informed. 2 big events were held this last month in October. One was the Halloween Bash at Charles Page High School, big, huge community event, and then the Monster Ball as a fundraiser for Special Olympics. Those 2 events in October absolutely created a huge splash in the community, and I believe we raised over $4,000 for Special Olympics at the Monster Ball. So really fun things for our community. Our football team plays at home in the first round of the playoffs. Yep. Proud of their performance this season. I'm really, really proud of them. We have been contacted as a possible neutral site for semifinal round. We'll see if we're still playing, then that won't happen. But if we're not, we're going to be hosting. And Rod reminded me that, yes, it's Thanksgiving weekend, so there's that.
But
And-
is that like concessions are ours?
No, it doesn't work like that.
What the heck?
Basically, we host and OSSAA gets some hype for it. I don't think so. I'd have to really clarify with Rod Sitton. We might get
So
concessions,
what's
but all,
I'm not trying to be devil's advocate.
yeah.
what's in it for us? I mean,
Being
other
a
than them,
contributor, yeah.
other than us, the wear and tear on our field and
Yeah.
everything else, and we get nothing.
Well, I will say this, I agree with you somewhat, however, it's also a way to show off. So we've had folks coming in from different classes that come in and think our stadium's outstanding, even though I've dragged, on and on about the press box. But it is kind of nice to be able to show out of a facility that is pretty top-notch, with the exception of our improvement we're gonna make in a couple of years.
We don't lose money. They
We don't lose
pay for
money,
expenses
but-
and stuff. Do you know what class might come here? And
He didn't elaborate, right, we don't know, so I would assume his email said if we're not in the playoffs, which lends itself to 6A, but I don't know that for sure. We've hosted before and it hasn't been our class, so it could be, who knows what they
I
do.
hope we're still playing, but.
I agree, yeah, I totally agree with that. And then I
You
would,
didn't say when is the next game?
the next game is Friday night against, help me team, Lawton, thank you. Yep.
Here, right?
Here, yes, yes, that's correct.
Quite a journey.
Yeah, it's a journey. I was thankful it was a home game because traveling to Lawton would not have been a fun time. It's pretty far across the state. And then lastly, board meeting dates for 2024 calendar year are on the agenda for approval this month as well. So those, upon approval, will be posted on our website as well. So any questions, policy, finance, all things bond?
Questions? Anybody? Nope, all right,
Okay.
move on.
Health and safety, we're in conjunction with the city, looking at onboarding a new resource officer in January. As you know, that's part of the safety allocation that was legislated last year to the tune of $92,000 per year. They're running that through the GMS system, which is a little unique in how they're doing that, but basically you guys approved a contract for an MOU for an additional officer last month. The beauty of that would be that they are holding the contract, so it's the city's employee, and we get the luxury of having that person on board in our schools, and we're simply paying an MOU. It saves us with liability insurance and the oversight for that person, so that's a win-win for us. Going on, as you know, we've been implementing new safety measures at the football games. For the most part, it's gone off without a hitch. That's a brag on our community, by the way, because they just do what we need them to do. We've had a couple of people, like a handful of people that want to comment a little bit disgruntled, but honestly, they're mostly from opposing teams. So our community, just in the Sandite way, continues to do the things that we need to do to keep our kids safe. Monday, we promoted bullying awareness. All sites were encouraged to wear blue. This was last week, and we promoted our Stop It app that we've had in place for several years now. And then Mr. Smith, JJ's the chair of the safety committee, and ensured that everybody was trained on the RAVE app, which is that app that was commissioned by the governor for quick notification to emergency services if there's a need for those to be present at any event that might happen, including an active shooter. And then just so you know, the Oklahoma School Security Institute has been contacted to perform risk and vulnerability, I can't say that word, assessments at all of our sites. So that's also a new requirement and honestly necessary, I think, just so we know what we need to improve upon. So that'll be happening hopefully this year. So any questions, safety and security?
No? All right, let's move on to consent agenda, please.
A couple items that I would bring to your attention. Item number 21, we always hate to lose people mid-year, specifically teachers, more specifically special education teachers. As you know, Marilyn Clark has been a great employee over the course of time and has been willing to come back and help us in a pinch the last couple of years. She has some personal issues that she needs to attend to, so she officially said, I've got to resign. So she has turned in her resignation. And then April Frost, paraprofessional at Clyde Boyd, same thing, some personal issues that she needed to resign and take care of. So we have two on our agenda tonight for acceptance. Item number 23 is a new company, software company, that will provide software for our transportation department to provide routing for our school buses. It's all encompassing. It does routes for bringing kids to school and taking them home, but also activity routing as well. we have struggled immensely with our routing system that we use currently. And I know over the course of the last few years, you've seen me kind of complain about the current company. This one works better with our new student information system, Infinite Campus. And I will tell you, it has not been without stress during first quarter statistical and annual statistical that we've had some worries with our team about getting our numbers right. So Mr. Anderson couldn't be here tonight. He actually hurt his back today. But this was a recommendation on his part. The upfront cost is a little pricey for setup, mapping, and all those things that are necessary to make sure our bus routes run. But the recurring cost yearly is actually cheaper than what we were paying at just under $10,000. So I think it's a great recommendation, but it is new. So I wanted to make sure I brought that to your attention.
Ms. Turkey, will we have to approve this each year because it's a recurring type
Recurring
thing?
contracts. I just put, by nature of, I think it's appropriate to put all contracts on the board for approval. So yes, I don't think that company will change over the course of the next few years for sure. We've had our current system the entire time I've been superintendent and as long as I can remember. So it's not something that you just take lightly and change on a dime. It's a big deal, and getting transportation underway this year was a little bit tricky. We had some maps that were missing in our current system through no fault of our transportation director by any means, but there was some glitches that we struggled working through. So I think this is going to be a great complement to our student information system that we're using. Any other questions about Tyler Technologies? Yes. Away? To the right. To my right. Yeah. That. My right. Want to dance with me? Yes, I can do it. All right. And then it just sounds so loud when I have it close. Item number 25, I'm going to let Ms. Leahuber talk about that a little bit. There was a little bit of confusion about this grant application through the State Department of Ed. We received some information that we could apply for it about a month ago. Had really not much information. Turns out it requires board approval for us to access it, which is why you see it on the agenda tonight. So, Ms. Leahuber, do you mind expanding just a little bit? That's interesting.
No one's ever told me that. There was an opioid abatement lawsuit settlement, and it was, off the top of my head, $24 million. So what this letter of intent says with your approval is that we're gonna apply for grant money. So we've not been guaranteed that money yet. It just says that our board is willing to apply for it. And so it's actually due on Wednesday. So if you all approve that, then I'll turn it in tomorrow. If we receive the funds, it would really be for the education realm for us to purchase curriculum or training for our mostly secondary staff to really do prevention and understanding of abuse and misuse of opioids in a hope that we stop students from going down that path. So.
And I just have to add, the due date of Wednesday wasn't because we failed to put this in front of you in October. There was a lot of confusion about the grant. In fact, I made the decision a couple weeks ago to say, listen, we apply for everything. It's too stressful, we're not doing it. And we finally got some information, I believe COSA.
Yeah, the first time that the Tulsa Health Department put out the letter of intent, it was already past the date that we were supposed to apply. And we had not, we're not gonna call a special board meeting for that. And so then I think there was probably pushback from quite a few districts. And so they moved the date back. And so that's why it's today. And then since I have the mic, I texted Rod, and we do get concessions.
Oh, we do.
And we also get some portion of money, but he's not sure yet. He said that'll come out tomorrow. And listen, you gave me the mic. The special ed opening has already been filled at Northwoods with a highly qualified special education teacher who has already started. So while
Which is on the agenda tonight.
Yes, while we were sad to see Marilyn go, she actually really did that out of the goodness of her heart because she's been retired for a couple of years and came back and helped us. And so that was a win, so. Anybody else?
Listen, you give my team a little in and they find the information out, which by the way is why I love them. This is why we run very efficiently and they're amazing people. So Carrie, thank you for that clarification because I really had no idea.
Do we know what the grant, how much it would be?
So the grant, it's good. It can be split between hospitals, different health organizations and school districts. So they're not making any kind of a promise for any minimum for each group. Once we do this letter of intent, that's when we'll do the application. And it sounds like it's based on the number of people who apply.
Cool.
So it seems like if you apply, you're gonna get money, and probably the more that apply, the less money that you're gonna get.
I think we were at the place where not so many people were applying because there was lack of information surrounding the application process. So, okay, I think that concludes, unless you guys have other questions about the consent agenda.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Have a second?
I'll second.
It's a race to push the button. All right, call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. All right, let's move on to the action items. 26. Any proposal for executive session? All right, let's move on to 27, please. Do I have a motion to approve the temporary teacher employment recommendations for the 23-24 school year?
I will make the motion to approve the proposed approval of a temporary teacher employment recommendation for 23-24 school year.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just want to brag on Ms. Durkee. We're getting one from Africa. We recruit worldwide. I kind of like that, so. That's kinda
Listen,
cool.
I don't take any credit at all. Maybe Ms. Arnold does. We were lacking, and you'll see on the resignations, our French teacher, and I think the timing just happened to be right for it to be posted when this fella was looking. I mean, I don't really have an explanation other than he found us. So he's in place, teaching at Charles Page High School, and is fluent in French as his first language. So there's a little bit of a language barrier, but because his language is first in French. So it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic. I'm loving it. Mademoiselle.
Is he enjoying it?
I think so. I mean, it's different. It's high school, but I think so. I
Are we
think,
trading out?
what?
He teaches us French, we teach him English. Just trade.
Maybe, we talked about that. Yeah, exchanging like, for sure.
All right.
Submersion is right.
All
yeah.
right, do we have a vote, please?
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Oh, aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. 28, proposed executive session, to discuss employment recommendations for 23-24 school year.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the employment recommendation for the behavioral technician.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon. Aye. Noggle.
Aye. Thank you. Item 30, proposed approval to rescind Clyde Boyd Middle School Special Education Teacher Senator Boyer's resignation letter.
So as you probably were aware, she did resign. We've struggled honestly in that school finding a replacement. She was also retired from Sand Springs Public School with Marilyn Clark, and she was willing to come back and help us out, and she's gonna stick around. We'll keep looking, we'll continue posting. We're hoping, much like speech pathologist to come March. We're able to find some folks that are willing to come on board, but in the meantime, she's withdrawn her resignation letter. We're very pleased about that. So we'd ask for approval to rescind.
Sure, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve rescinding Sandra Boyer's resignation letter.
Second?
I'll second.
Call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon, Noggle.
Aye. Move on to 31.
So item 31 is the board calendar, putting board dates on the calendar for our regular scheduled meetings. Upon approval, those will be posted on our website and filed with the county.
Anybody have any discussions or any problems with any of the dates?
I
Or
mean,
seeing
November's my birthday and that's a national holiday. So, I mean, just
We'll bring a
saying.
cake. How about that?
Are you
Well-
good at baking gluten-free?
Next December is my birthday.
See, there's
So-
two.
I know.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we approve the board meeting dates presented for the 2024 calendar, including Ms. Hanlon's birthday.
Thank you, because this was getting out of hand.
I'll second.
Call for a vote, please. Get off of this.
I'll second. That's a-
I thought we had a second. I don't either. I know.
Mullins, Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. I'm losing control of this meeting.
I know.
Item 32, please.
Right, and that's the discussion board action for a annual school board election, which is required by law. It notes the filing period and the boundary description and map for office number 4.
Do I hear a motion we accept that?
I'll make a motion that we accept item number 32.
Do I have a second?
Second.
If we don't make this motion, and accept this, then Bo has to keep running. Because there
Right.
wouldn't be anybody to replace him, so
Yes,
we'd probably be in trouble though, wouldn't we?
we'd get in trouble. It's required by law.
Call for a vote, please, before we all get in trouble.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye, thank you. Item 33, we have already accomplished.
Correct.
Thank you, Zach, very much.
Thank you, Zach.
Yes.
34, did we do that one yet? No.
We did not. This would be the lease purchase agreement with Huntington National. Really loud.
Oh.
There it goes. To make the third payment for the lease purchase agreement for the Jumbotron at Charles Page High School Memorial Stadium. I want to say publicly, this is a lease agreement that was interest-free. That was a special offered by Daktronics, if you'll remember. And so we agreed to do those 5 payments at around $100,000 each, interest-free. So technically, we're borrowing somebody else's money without paying for it. So anyway, this would be the third installment.
I make a motion, we approve the resolution authorizing use of the lease purchase agreement with Huntington for
Right.
this next year.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Further discussion, anybody? Call for a vote, please.
Mullins,
Aye.
Wagers,
Aye.
Wagner,
Aye.
Hanlon,
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. Item 35, proposed approval of a one-time non-recurring stipend payment for the 2023-24 school year to all eligible personnel who meet the following criteria.
Just excited to be able to do that, you guys. I depend on Ms. Newby to the nth degree when it comes to everything school finance and our budget. And so proudly, we're able to do this again. This is the 8th year out of, really 7 out of 8 that we have been able to offer a stipend to this degree. So super excited about that for our people, and it's much deserved.
Here, here. I'll make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second.
Thank you, Ms. Durkee, Ms. Newby, for being able to do that. That's pretty cool. And thank you to the teachers that do what you do, and appreciate that.
Call for a vote, please.
Mullins.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Hanlon.
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye. Awesome. Congratulations to the teachers. Well deserved, well deserved. Item 36, any matter not known.
There is
About-
not.
Any announcements?
No, sir.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
Call for a vote, please.
Mullins.
Aye.
Wagers.
Aye.
Wagner.
Aye.
Hanlon.
Aye.
Noggle.
Aye, thank you.